Good afternoon. My name is Chris Adam with Youth Pledge for Employers. I'm delighted to be joined by Grant from Mbrock Limited. Hello there, Grant.
Hi, very, very pleased to meet you, Chris.
Yes, thank you for giving your time to speak to me this afternoon. And I guess my sort of start of the 10-question list would be, can you tell me a little bit about your organisation and what it is you do?
Yeah, the company is Mbrock. It was established in 1991 by a gentleman called Mel Brock. He ran the business up until 2020 when it went under new management. I won't say that gentleman's name because I haven't sought his permission to use his name. So under new management is probably the easiest way of putting it. We were traditional architectural ironmongers. That is to say, we sold locks and lever handles, hinges, door furniture, predominantly to the house building industry. I joined the company a year ago from a very large company. I'm an industrial door, automatic door engineer, and I also design. We have the facility to maintain, design, build all of those products and steel doors. We have an installation service, and we've certainly picked up some big clientele in the last year.
And what kind of roles and sort of job roles and people do you have within the organisation to facilitate those large clients and the different arms of the business that you've just mentioned there?
Our biggest issues are finding the right people, and the roles are varied. We've just had an apprentice that did a chap done a warehousing apprenticeship with ourselves, and he's now gone on to be our senior estimator. Having just finished his apprenticeship, he's now our senior ironmongery estimator. We have gaps for admin. We have gaps for, shall we say, slightly more senior people on the road. And we're a lively business that is going places.
And I know there's no such thing as a typical day in any job. I know every day is different from, job to job and, based on client to client. But if you had to maybe talk about some of the kind of things that crop up on a daily basis, in the organisation, what are they?
There's two sides of the business, so I'd have to answer that with two answers as opposed to one. On the ironmongery side, a client will come to us because they want either specific ironmongery, or they want us to put a schedule together for a new building with our ironmongery. And we certainly do that for customers, from house builders to architects, both commercially, as I say, and domestic. With my side of the business, which is automatic doors, predominantly our customers are end user. They predominantly come to us because they've had an issue with a door. We go to site, assess what the situation is, very often get a maintenance contract out of it to maintain the door, or we will design a new door for them, and then it goes through the ordinary ordering process where the thing's built, delivered to site, and we go and install.
And I don't know if we can use the chap you mentioned earlier who's gone on to, say, become your chief estimator. But when young people come into the organisation, say whether it's an apprenticeship or their first job or something like that, what kind of personality traits serve them well? What kind of skills, if you see what I mean, would serve them well working in an organisation like this?
The most predominant skill is common sense. Common sense, good timekeeping, ability to think outside the box.
And within your organisation, sort of how do I put it? What is ability to think outside the box in in the context of your company?
When somebody phones up and they say they want some door hinges, asking the questions like, have you sorted out your door handles? Are they fire doors? Do they need to self-close? Indeed, have you thought about doors? What type of door are you fitting? Can we help you with that? Asking the important questions that make the contract go correctly.
And I'm guessing that
upsell the order.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'm guessing if there's been sort of progression like the person you were talking about previously, I'm guessing that sort of if someone comes into the company and they show, as you say, sort of common sense, a willingness to learn, a drive to sort of want to do well in the organisation, that those traits would serve them well as well.
Yeah, of course. Within a small, there are all sorts of advantages and disadvantages to joining a small company. One of the advantages are if you you have to like what you're doing. You have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to be keen to work and to fit in and to adapt. And within a very short period of time, in a small company, you become a key player. On the negative side, I suppose there's nowhere to hide. So if you're not willing to put your head down and to work and have fun doing it, that's the important thing as well. You've got to enjoy what you're doing. Then there is nowhere to hide.
And you mentioned from your own experience how you say you've come from a bigger organisation, to this organisation here. If there's a young person maybe watching this video and they maybe have got a rough idea of the field they want to go into, but maybe they don't know if, say, they should do it for a smaller local organisation or go somewhere where there's a bigger organisation. What sort of, based on your experience, what honest pieces of advice would you give to them?
I would say if you're not sure, then don't do it. Because make sure you do something you want to do, and when you do agree to do it, or when you do think about doing it, give it 110.
I mean, absolutely solid advice there. And is that sort of based on your own experience? As you say, that maybe you've gone into roles where actually, as you say, you sort of maybe weren't too sure about it, and then you wished you hadn't done it because you hadn't been sure.
Yeah, I think with any role you take on, to be honest, there is you can be upsold a position, and if that position isn't what it's intended to be, then of course no one's expected to work their career in something they don't enjoy doing. Having said that, if you want to improve and you want to our most basic instinct is to create something, and if you want to create something, if you want to build something, then a smaller company gives you much more opportunity to build it, where a bigger company, it takes you longer to shine.
And I'm guessing in organisations such as yours, part of the satisfaction of the job is, how do I put it, is, you talked about sort of building things here, is fulfilling the need of the customer, if you see what I mean, whether they say to you, like, I need, this particular product, and you can say, yes, we've got that product, here you are, or whether they pose you the challenge and say, okay, I need something that can do this, and then, as I say, people in the organisation make that. I'm guessing that sort of the satisfaction of fulfilling the customer requirement is a big sort of part of why the people in the organisation do the job. Would that be right?
Yeah, and it does to a degree. It does permeate through the business. I mean, we would not expect somebody who was starting as an apprentice to go out and design something.
Yes.
I get a buzz out of designing stuff. If they did, happy days. But when somebody comes to you, and it might be a member of staff, and they come to you with a problem, And we've had a few problems where, you know, I've gone out into the workshop at the back, and we've made something work. And you know that the person that brought that to you shares in the result that you've created something, you know, because it is a team.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm guessing that, as you say, especially within a smaller company, when you've got those, you know, all organizations have good days and bad days. And I'm guessing that when there are challenging times or busy periods or something like that, I'm guessing that, as you say there, being a smaller supportive team, you know, as I say, sharing each other's successes, but then helping each other out when it's those tough days, you know, is sort of, as I say, I'm guessing a smaller team is a big benefit for that.
Yeah, I think that the Mbrock team is every single person in the business is a strong personality, and the desire to want to create is there is always a yin and a yang. You know, somebody wants to do it some way, someone wants to do it somewhere else. But if you decide that you've got a better way of doing something, then people will listen to you. They may not do it, but they will give you the time of day to listen to you.
And that leads me quite well onto my final question, actually, Grant. And because, you know, what you said there, but it sounds based on, you know, your own experiences and things that you've learned as well. And I've asked this to all the employers I've spoken to, which is, if you could go back and speak to a, say, 17, 18-year-old Grant, you know, you're about to go out, you know, on your career path, you know, on your career journey, taking into account maybe sort of mistakes you might have made and learned from successes you've had, what is the one piece of career advice you would go back and give to your younger self?
Don't look backwards, only look forwards.
And is there a particular, how do I
No,
put it?
I wouldn't.
You know,
I
is
mean,
there a
at the end
particular
of the
moment that
day,
made you think that?
if I was to go back to being 17-year-old, I'd be a different person to I was when I was 17-year-old. And as you get older, naturally you become more cautious with what you're doing. I think the average 17-year-old needs to go out. They need to find something that they really feel comfortable working with and go for it. And they would probably do it a completely different way to me. When I was 17 years old, we didn't even use a calculator. You know, I bought the first calculator into work when I was about 19 years old, and everybody looked at me like I was a science fiction figure. So how can I give advice like that in this technical age to a 17-year-old? The only advice I can give them is, you know, get something you want to do and work hard at it.